strange to me, because you could feel Upamecano wasn't really able to hold on to play, string those passes. But yeah, we were talking about tackles and recoveries. Yeah, that's normal. That's what a defender should do. But if you needed calmness in such a match, you needed someone like Ibu Konate. Someone who's played alongside the likes of Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, a calm head who could at least try and help organize that defense. I felt they were so rugged in the first half, and you could even witness that during the second goal. Oh my, 2 split passes through the heart of the defense, and then they gave Angel Di Maria a very easy chance to score. But again, Jules Kounde, I hope he's woken up well this morning, because he really had a terrible first half. But then you look at the way Argentina lined up for this match in the first half. Look at the lineup. Nobody expected Di Maria to start that match, because he played the opener, wasn't involved much in the rest of the games, and then comes in deep end waters. And look at his performances. He was just brilliant. He played with his heart, played for his nation. And him getting off the pitch, I think it knocked off Argentina a little bit.
Then the second half, France became a new France. And they started boosting it. Argentina were comfortable because they were 2-0 up. There's always been this story of Messi's a great player, but he's carried by the system, in quotes. He's carried in quotes. Soft penalty against the Dutch in the quarterfinals.
Yes. Soft
penalty for them, Argentina, yesterday against France in the finals. There's that feeling. Was it fine? France also got a soft penalty, one can say, and that cancelled out the other. But can we say Messi hubebwa?
But also, I spoke earlier with you in relation to that penalty. Because you see, once you give a soft penalty, it changes the whole dimension of that game. That goal that Messi the penalty was awarded, he scored, brought in a different dynamic in that game totally. Because now they were up, and now things had to change so that France can be able to come from down and get an equalizer. And I've seen also when Ronaldo was also given a soft penalty.
Oh yes.
There's an issue with these key players. They're really, I don't want to say they're favored, but
they're treated with kid gloves.
Yeah, they're treated in a special way. But for me, that dilutes football. Because at the end of the day, these kingpins are born every day. We have Mbappe now. Does it mean now he's going to be the mini god? Does it mean that he's going to be treated with some favor? He cannot be touched. Football is a physical game. There has to be contact. And I believe the other players also are looking up to these senior players or these good players so that they can be able to become like them. But if we are nurturing a talent and showing the world that if you get to a certain level, then you'll be looked at differently, I don't think that's the right way to be able to go. But they are the best of the best. They just need to be treated like any other player so that they earn it in a good way.
You've heard it from a match commissioner. Those are not light words coming from anyone, but especially when you're a match commissioner, those are sound words. Mulemi, do you agree with the match commissioner? Ama, you want to start saying no? Feel free. The floor is yours.
To be honest, I think a penalty is a penalty. Either way, contact is contact.
Soft contact.
The contact
and
is
hard
contact. Yeah. If Di Maria had, let's say, dived and the only controversies that I do have with penalties is when this handball thing that, I don't know, the ball hit the arm, like the penalty given to Mbappe later on in the game. Yeah, those ones are controversial because you could see clearly, was it Romero who was trying to do that, and then it happened. Dembele was naive, and Di Maria cheated him, and he fell into that trap, and that's how it occurred. And you see, that's football. That's the beauty of football. Such moments are the ones we'll always talk about, because if it wasn't there, then if it wasn't given, we could still be talking about it. Why wasn't it given? There was contact.
Brings us to our next point, rather briefly. Did street smart football yesterday outsmart academy football? Street smart from Latin America, academy football from Europe. What I mean by that, like he says, Dembele was naive. Di Maria turned, looked up, pretended he's going to give Messi the ball there. And then he's running into the box. You touch me, I go down, penalty. That is street smartness. It's a bit like a pickpocket out there on the streets, looking out for the cops, and then ambushes his victim, and he takes off. Whereas in Europe, they are nurtured into the academy system from a young age, and they play textbook football according to what they've been taught. They don't have that outside, that worldly experience. Did that worldly experience outdo the textbook academy system?
I would say it was a composition of the two. Because at the end of the day, when you're playing a structured team, you got to be structured as well. You will not just play in a funny way just because you want to spoil it for them. Because what we saw yesterday was tiki-taka. It was build up from behind, attacks, using the flanks, and we saw very beautiful finishes. So what really outsmarted actually Argentina is because they used a lot of what you're calling streetwise thinking, and that really made them outsmart France, and that is important in a game.
You want to add something onto the penalties? There's Mbappe's third penalty of the game, and he scored from the third penalty.
And that is what Greg was just talking about, because we are even asking, was that hand in a natural position or it was in an unnatural position?
Greg, let's jump onto this before we come back to your comments on the street smartness. What do you want to say on this?
I was here with Taiwo, and he said that most of the time you need your best takers to have the first penalty. We've seen Mbappe, apparently is the best taker for France, taking away the first one, and Messi confirming that he's also the best in such circumstances, and you could feel that he had a cool nerves in this one, putting this away very softly, and he knew that Lloris was going to move. So to me, the penalty shootout showed a team that was better prepared for such an occasion, and one that had never reached this point. You could feel the time Kingsley Coman went to take that penalty, you could feel that he was just, why am I doing this? Why am I even here? You see, because France had never reached this level in the tournament, in the World Cup. They've always finished their games in the 90+ minutes, and for this one, look at Coman, even look at his facial expression. It was.
Your thoughts on the street smartness versus the academy football?
For that, I think, I'll agree with Immaculate. It was a combination of both, because Di Maria, he's raised in Buenos Aires, a place where you have to work hard to survive, and that brings the best out of you, and you could feel the emotions even when they were taking the penalties, when they were playing. And for that opener, that is where there was the difference. One who knows that I can do this without the coach telling me, and one that and the other one who was defending, like the coach told me, if someone comes this way, do this and this. You see, this is a national team.
Yes, I get your point.
Yes, exactly.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Carry on. Are you done?
Yeah.
Are you done?
That was evident yesterday.
Yes.
Like Messi, he knows how to. In the second half, Messi did not run a lot. And that is street smart. He did not run a lot.
His timing is victim.
Yes, and look at what he did in extra time, scoring the third goal, pouncing into the area at the last minute. Just as Lloris punched the ball, Messi was there. Look at that. That is street smart. If it was an academy player, maybe could have been thinking, oh, let me mark my lines. Yeah.
Even Martinez, the goalkeeper, a lot of street smartness.
He's a guy who just rose through the ranks 10 years ago. He was playing amateur football in England. Then rose through the ranks, went to Arsenal, things didn't work out. He's now at Aston Villa, he's doing well. This is a guy who can write a book and we can all read it and enjoy. I enjoyed Didier Drogba's book, by the way.
Me too. Yeah. Commitment.
Yes.
That's what. Would you say he underperformed? He didn't quite make it at Arsenal. They won the FA Cup.
Yeah, he won the FA Cup
against all
twice.
odds.
Yeah,
against all odds.
Yeah, but I think he felt that he needed a fresher challenge, because you find during his time, the coach Emery preferred the German keeper Leno to Martinez, and he was like, I think I'm better off. I won the Copa America, and this is not even #1 in Germany. He's benching me. No, I don't think I can do this. I can look for other options. And I even watched his interview. the main reason as to why he left Arsenal, it's not that he didn't love Arsenal, but he said that, I think I'm better than the guys ahead of me.
And when Arsenal won the FA Cup in 2020, he was the guy in between the posts.
Yes.
He had the game of his life against Chelsea, that one. And they won it in style. He's quite a versatile goalkeeper. There's a world of a difference between him and Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris, you can say, is a textbruck goalkeeper. He's from the academy.
French goalkeeper, yeah.
He's from straight out the academy. Brilliant in the 90 minutes, but if you throw in penalties, he was exposed. Whereas Martinez, brilliant throughout the 90 minutes plus extra time, throw in penalties, he's there. Fine, he conceded 3 to Mbappe, but he tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was he Golden Glove winner, Martinez?
Definitely, yes, definitely. We've seen him here saving his team when they went to the penalty shootout, and he did it again. And actually, I love his confidence, the way he stands on the line. The height also speaks for it, and he's just a composed goalkeeper. And I knew it yesterday. I said it here. I said it here on this channel that they are going to beat France, and because of one reason: if you allow Argentina to take you to penalty kicks from the penalty mark, you're done. You're done. Because they have a very good goalkeeper who is composed. And we saw what he did. He did a very beautiful save. Of course, the other one, France, of course, kicked it outside. But at the end of the day, look at the direction of play. Where was the goalkeeper going to? He was going towards the same direction that the ball was going to. So I would say that he's more focused, and he's entitled to win the Golden Gloves.
Even against Holland, this wasn't a one-off. Against Holland, he stood out again.
Yes. And kept out Van Dijk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not an easy thing to do.
Not an easy thing to do, and that shows you a keeper that has been prepared for the tournament, and a keeper who is more hungry. And to be honest, I don't think Lloris is hungry. Was as hungry as Martinez. He's already won the World Cup. He's won the Euros. He's won many accolades individually. He's the longest-serving French player ever. So to me, I think Martinez just wanted this trophy more, and you could feel even during the penalty shootout, those antics and everything that he threw at the French team were like working in his favor.
Yes.
Intimidating the opponent.
Especially, you remember Muani had the last-second chance. Against Argentina.
That was huge. Yeah.
And Martinez outsmarted him. He just intimidated him. He had no chance to be. Martinez was beaten by the pass from Mbappe, but he pulled out something from his bag of tricks. And that was it. That was it.
Spread himself, made sure that Muani couldn't get past him.
Spread his eyes as well.
Spread his eyes. The antics we are talking about. Yeah. And that's what you need in a keeper. You see, every focus has been on Messi, Rodrigo de Paul, these players, Enzo Fernandez.
Yes.
But then you look at Martinez, I think is worth a mention. Remember against the Netherlands, when Messi scored the winning was it the winning penalty or the equalizer? He ran to Martinez to congratulate him, whilst the rest of the team ran to the opposite side to celebrate. That shows you that this is something that he's contributed much in this World Cup that has made him stand out, and even Messi recognizes that.
And I love his consistency. As a goalkeeper, he's been very consistent, because you might think that he did one save during the Netherlands match, and you think maybe aliangukia, but when you see now the replay for in a different match, then that tells you that he's a good goalkeeper. He did not just guess. He knows what he's doing, and he does it at his best.
And that's the third time Argentina have won the World Cup at senior level. First time, 1978, Mario Kempes. They were losing to Holland at home, Buenos Aires. And just like that, Mario Kempes turned the game on its head and scored 2 wonderful goals, winning Argentina their first World Cup at senior level. Kempes, you might want to know, was in the crowd last night. You remember, Greg, we pointed him out. And then 1979, obviously Maradona won his first World Cup, but that was a junior World Cup. No disrespect to that, it's a massive achievement, but we're talking of senior level, given that this is a senior World Cup. So 1986, they won their second senior World Cup with Maradona, the famous hand of God and all. And they've had to wait 26 years or something.
36 years.
36. Gosh, time flies when you're having fun. 36 years. before winning it again.
But
Messi, congratulations to them.
Tiras, that tells us a lot, especially as African countries. You do not just prepare a team today and you expect a result tomorrow. 36 years is not a joke. Look at the transformation of that team. Look at the individual players they have in that team. Look at the structure, the composition. And even the players on the bench are up to task. When they're brought in, they give their A game. So that tells you that we should build in our structures. We should make sure that we start identifying talent as young as possible. And we also have a timeline to be able to get to this level. It is not easy. Don't just wake up and you win yourself a trophy. That journey tells you that a lot has been done within the 36 years. A lot, and
it involves a lot of loss as well. Remember, 1990, they made the final. They lost an 86th minute or 85th minute penalty. Andres Bremer scored for West Germany, and Argentina lost that final. They were the defending champions back then. 2014, they made the final again. Messi lost narrowly 1-0 to Germany. So it's a long journey. It's not, I mean, it's taken Messi several World Cups to finally win it. It took Maradona 2 World Cups. He played in '82, famously got a red card. I think it was against Brazil. And then in '86, finally, he won his first Senior World Cup. So it's a long journey, as Marculate says. You build those structures, you rebuild, you say, here, we didn't quite do well, let's do it again. It was a beautiful World Cup, nonetheless. Gregory, before we come back to Marculate, your last thoughts on this game of last night? What have we left out that we should have chipped in on?
I think it was a beautiful game of football. But then I think it was a satisfaction for even the fans who attended. I think they should also be appreciated because nobody expected these crowds in the World Cup. We've seen World Cups whereby there are so many empty seats. And for me, looking at the crowd, looking at the organization for such an event, this is huge, and it points out at that better organization, even from the organizers, to the teams that are participating, is really key to having better memories. I think we'll pick a few things here. Ask me anything about Russia 2018. Honestly, I don't know.
Marculate, a beautiful World Cup. And now that you've told us as Africans to borrow a leaf from Argentina, that it takes time and everything, at some point on that pitch, Hugo Lloris was like the only Caucasian playing for France. The rest are African players in terms of heritage. You look at where their parents come from, or their grandparents. Africa. It's a huge loss for Africa in that sense, but a massive one for France and other European countries that have African players or players of African heritage playing for them. A massive loss, isn't it?
It is, but that tells you something. That tells you that we have quality in Africa. We have the best players in Africa.
No structures.
No structures. Our only undoing, only undoing is an African nation. Poor leadership, bad structures. When we get the right people in the leadership positions and we bring in the government in the game and build and work on our structures, then we'll definitely get to the World Cup. Because these black players who are playing for these African country, European countries like France, they're just our people. So that tells you if they believe in us, then why don't we believe in ourselves?
Oh, wow. There's so much to talk about last night's game. We could go on and on and on and on. And we'll go on and on and on for years and years to come. This was a wonderful finale, befitting of a tournament that has been perhaps the best World Cup ever. Certainly the best of my lifetime, I believe of your lifetimes as well, and perhaps even of your lifetime, you that's watching us. Now, let's move a bit. Let's shift gears, and this one now will start moving fast. Boom, boom, boom. Let's look at the groups. Group A had Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, Netherlands. In summary, Greg, what do you make of that group?
It was a tough one, especially the three favorites, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. In the opener, you could clearly see Ecuador had intent, winning 2-0 in that one. And everyone was like, say, Ecuador is going to qualify to the next round. They look like favorite. But then, this man, scored
Valencia.
Valencia. Yeah, scoring a double in that game.
Yes.
And of course, he had another goal rule out, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But then,
very technical, but we won't go into that.
Yes. They gave us good moments because it was one of the best openers we've watched in a long time because you could feel the competitiveness. Qatar sprang into life in the second half, brought in the Muntari guy. I feel that he should have started in that match. I think these are lessons the Qataris will learn moving forward. But to me, Group A was tough, and Holland, the Netherlands, proved that they are also a force to reckon. They had deficiency in the striking force. That is what might have made them not progress this far in the tournament. For Senegal, they clearly missed money. That's it. They clearly missed money. Yeah.
Okay. Immaculate, your thoughts on that group? It had Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we had an African team there, and we were all hoping that our African team would top that group.
2 African teams. If we throw in Ecuador and claim them.
All right. If we claim them, probably we'll get a number 1 and 2. But Netherlands was a big giant there. And we saw what they did, and they progressed, actually. But I also want to go back to Qatar, having been the hosts nation, and they did not perform so well. For me, they didn't live up to expectation, and I think they had not prepared for this. Or probably it exposes Qatar in terms of their leagues, their internal leagues in their country, because we did not see a lot of intrigues coming from the team. They were kicked out, knocked out very early, and I thought probably they could survive throughout the tournament, being that they have it and they want to show the entire world what they're made of. So, but it was a very interesting group, very tough group, and we appreciate that, you know, our Netherlands got an opportunity to progress to the group last 16, and Senegal.
Yes, tough start for Qatar, but going forward, I think it was a perfect launching board for them. I think they're looking at the future. And if that's the case, really, if that is so, then we might say they have a bright future. At times, you don't start the way you wanted to, but you know where you're going. And the Chinese say you start a journey of 1,000 miles starts with
a stride,
just that single stride. I think that was Qatar's stride. But Immaculate, fair enough. Wonderful point from you. Group B. England, England, England.
The perennial noisemaker.
Iran, USA, and Wales.
Yeah.
This was a dull group. A dull group. And let me be honest with you. I think I struggled watching matches in this group because similar kind of football, no flair. Wales and England play the same kind of football. USA, yeah, young lads who are still coming up, they gave us a few moments. Iran, today they are playing well. The next game they are playing badly. They played badly against England, soaking in 6 goals. To me, I feel that this is an easy group for England because of the names. You know, England, when you talk about England, you talk about the names, the Rashfords, the Kanes, the Hendersons. But then, after game 1, they just started flickering. You don't know what to expect about them. And to me, I'll not take so much from this group because to me it was a dull group. I don't have many moments I can pick from this group. Let me be honest.
Oh, Immaculate.
It is a group that I expected the US and England to be able to shine in the group. I had a lot of expectations with the US team, but unfortunately they did not live up to expectations, being that they've been out for some time, and this was the time probably they could come and show us what they were doing when they were not in the competitions. But I'll agree with what Greg is saying. It was not a group that brought in any flares per se. They just came to participate, and I think that was it.
George Weah, his son Timothy. In my time growing up, George Weah was the king of world football, not just African, world football. Yeah. He's now the president of Liberia, did so much for Liberian football. He paid for the team air tickets to even attend an Africa Cup of Nations.
He bought them jerseys, yeah?
He bought them, I mean, everything really he did for them. A country that has been bedeviled by the challenges that face a lot of African nations, civil strife, bad economy, But against all odds, they've stuck out there, they've sprung, they've appreciated George Weah for his efforts that he's done for his country. They've elected him president on his second or third attempt, stab at the presidency. And now his son, playing for the United States, not playing for Liberia, but playing football nonetheless, and beautiful football at that. And he's not the only one. A number of, I mean, US is another France in a sense.
They're tapping from everywhere.
So yeah, they're tapping from everywhere. But that, I think, is the beauty of America.
It's called the United States of America.
Irrespective of all the other challenges, they call it home to all.
Home to all.
What do you make of the young Weah?
Timothy Weah. I really expected him to shine in this World Cup. But he led from the front, by the way, scoring US first goal of the tournament. To me, I think he's a boy we'll have to watch very keenly in the next 4 years, because right now he's risen to the big stage, and he knows that he has support from both quarters, both in Liberia and United States of America. George Weah, who is his father, came all the way from Liberia to Qatar to manage to do what to
watch
and support, hug him. You could even, there were pictures going around social media of him giving his son a pep talk after the match against England.
And he didn't come alone. The mom young
was
Timothy was there.
The
first lady of Liberia.
The first lady was there. I think the grandmother was also there, if I'm not wrong. The family was there. So it shows you that as much as it's a different geographical area, Liberia and the United States, but look at how they appreciate the talent from home. You see, the boy chose to play for the United States, maybe because of the structures Immaculate is talking about. George Weah is trying to come up with something in Liberia. It will take time.
It will.
And Timothy Weah might be even 35 when these things are okay down there. So the best thing for him to do, and as a father, do the best for your son or your daughter. And I think for me, George Weah is wise enough, because I know Timothy Weah, after finishing his time, maybe he'll come back to Liberia and invest there.
Definitely. And the way I saw his mom, I've seen something on what was it? Social media. She's tough. She's a tough cookie. I think the secret behind his success.
Yeah, and that reminds me the success the Ayu brothers have had in Ghana. I know we'll be talking about Ghana, but credit to the dad. When you have parents who are strict and give you the right direction, you're bound to success.
And it's amazing, because when you look at the Weah story, it's not often when you do a World Cup or a football game and a president's son, a sitting president's son, is one of the footballers out there. Here's a president with a different perspective, and he's from Africa. He's not thinking in terms of forcing his child to do medicine or law. Those are looked at as the cream careers, engineering. No, he's looking at football. And I think if we develop that sort of mentality and build structures, as Immaculate was saying, here in Africa, then we'll be going places, to be honest. I don't know whether I'm rushing too fast now, because I want us to look at Group C, unless, I mean, I think we've pretty much looked at Group B rather in depth. And Greg has said it was boring and stuff like that. Immaculate agreed. So we don't want to dwell on the boring stuff. Let's go to the more exciting stuff. Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland, made for Group C. This one was an exciting group, wasn't it, Immaculate?
It was, especially I was happy with Saudi Arabia. Pulling that thing and beating Argentina for me was a big thing, and Argentina thought they are in this group for a ride, or probably they are going to have a smooth sail. It wasn't the case. So I would say that this was a very interesting group. It was a group of the unknowns, and actually we saw what the Saudi Arabians would pull.
My friend, this game, no one saw that coming. No one. Maybe one or two people. But there was a Kenyan guy, a young Kenyan guy who I know, and you guys probably know him. He actually predicted this will be 2-1. And he was working for a different TV station than this one. It's He actually predicted that this game will be 2-1.
Actually, is my colleague somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Everyone thought he was mad to say so. But at the end of 90 minutes, everyone was congratulating him. Unbelievable. Anyway, 2-1 was the final score.
Yeah, I remember Salem's goal in this one, that color. It was a beautiful goal. Lamborghinis, I think the Saudi Arabia team was motivated, well enough.
Yes.
They had their mission in the World Cup, beat the current champions. They didn't know that Argentina would go this far, by the way. But you look at the way this game was played, a game whereby Argentina didn't really know how Saudi Arabia would come and rather deploy their tactics in this one. And I think it was a game that we had 2 offside goals, 2 goals ruled out, Messi and Lautaro Martinez. And I think after this match, Scaloni went back to the drawing board, shuffled his defense a little bit, and then made a few changes in the squad. And you could see it bore fruits at the end of the day. But for Saudi Arabia, they also gave us moments in this game. Nobody expected them even to score a goal or even have a sniff at goal, especially after that disastrous first half in that one.
Is it a good thing when you begin a tournament with a loss? It sobers you up, you stop being overconfident, brings you back down to earth. Because footballers can be very egoistic. Yeah. We saw Spain start off on a high, and everyone was thinking, hey, these guys are going to take this.
I remember we were here with you, and I told you, maybe they're scoring their goals, finishing up their goals for the tournament. And sometimes we say that it's better to have a mistake early than commit a mistake during a very crucial stage.
Immaculate?
Yeah, I agree. In that group, we had surprises, and I would say that when you're playing a team that you don't know their play, their way of their style of play, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to penetrate into their defense. But this also shows us that this tournament was not, we did not have the minnows that we always say that these are the underdogs, because every team that we thought were underdogs really pulled a Japan or pulled a surprise to us. Yeah. So this was an interesting group to watch.
I remember there was a tournament, Spain began with a loss.
That was in 2010.
2010, the World Cup. Then they moved progress, game per game, and went on to win it. Yeah. There was a Saudi Arabian fan. After Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, who asked, where is Messi?
Yeah, he started mocking Messi. And I hope he watched this.
His question has been answered, definitely, without a doubt. And hats off to Javi Reina, the coach of Saudi Arabia, who's also coached here in Africa and done wonders.
That won 2 Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia.
Yes, Saudi Arabia definitely a team to watch. Yeah. And obviously there was Mexico, Poland. Of course, what we are seeing on our screens right now is Argentina, Poland. Can we talk a bit about the Polish?
Technical side, side that is very compact, and you could feel that. It's so unfortunate they left early, but I believe it's also something to do with age, an age.
But they did make the round of 16.
Yeah, still early.
But it's the usual. If you follow Poland's history at the World Cup, usually they get to the round of 16.
Yes, they never.
There are different categories of countries at the World Cup. There are those round of 16 teams. There are those ones that make the group stage out. Then there are those ones that advance.
And those who surprise people like Morocco.
And those that surprise people always. Yes, there's always that surprise. Immaculate, what do you make of the Polish?
I expected a lot from Lewandowski and his team, but I think that's the farthest they could have gone, the round of 16, because I did not see any. They were not that team that you'll say it's a team to look up to, but they really gave a good competitive side in their group. Not much expectation as well.
They had a fantastic coach, as they usually do at these tournaments. But why is it that their teams that you just know, like for me, I just knew this guy is round of 16.
That's it.
Anything
That's
beyond that is a bonus.
You look at their setup. They're not really potent in attack. They're not sharp. if it's not Lewandowski, then you don't see anywhere else where a chance can pop up from, and that is the deficiency they had. It's just, I can say, it's a technical average side that knows how to grind results, but when it really comes to the real deal, they're not able to crack. And that is what we witnessed with that. And even you could watch their game against Mexico, full of drama. Yeah.
I agree with you on the technical bit. Poland are very technical.
Very technical, yeah.
They don't switch from that technical football. Immaculate.
No, they don't. And over-reliance of one player as well.
Yeah.
They were all looking at Lewandowski, and I think they should get out of that and start looking at the team formation. Football is not just one individual. Football is about the team formation and how you move as a team.
Mexico,
I think it was an aging squad, and it was a blend of an aging squad and the upcoming youngsters, most of them homegrown. And that's something I love about Mexico, in that they'll always give you a surprise in each and every tournament. In this one, they're so unlucky they went out early, but I know the likes of Ochoa, and he had a good tournament. And, you know, they had to wait until the last kick of the game to know whether they've qualified or not. You know, it's really funny. And this is a side, I'll say, in 2026 when they host this World Cup, watch out for them, because the likes of Lozano will be in their prime, and they'll be the players we'll be talking about in the next 4 years. They came here maybe to give some of the players a farewell as they prepare for the next one.
I like the fact that you used the word unlucky, because that applies to Mexico. They were really unlucky.
Yeah.
Very unlucky. And it's as though you are reading my mind. First you say technical in relation to Poland, which was up here in my mind, and then now you say technical. Tunazoeana, we're getting used to one. We're getting used to one another. Anyway, their goalkeeper, Ochoa, he was one of the standout keepers in this tournament.
Yes.
Immaculate, your thoughts on him? There he is, with his back to the camera, and now his face to the camera. It's as though I'm directing that production. Anyway.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And actually, for me, he was man of the match in this game, because the saves that he made, and actually being martial out. And I remember very well, he could even talk to the defenders, even arrange his defenders so that he's not exposed. So I think it's one person who, I would say, gave the team some strength in order of leadership.
Wow. That sums up Group C, and we now move to Group D, a group that produced one of the finalists. And it had France, it had Australia, it had Denmark, and it had Africa's Tunisia. Maybe we can also apply the word unlucky to Tunisia, because they beat France, who were defending champions. No mean feat, but they were a bit late to the party. One of the African teams that opened their game without scoring a goal. Maybe that cost them in the end. Maybe not. Let's hear your thoughts about Group D.
Group D was a very tough group, if you ask me, because the defending champions were there, and you're playing defending champions is not that easy. And I would say that having Tunisia actually beating up France probably could have given them more confidence in the group that they can be able to go even further. But I would say even Tunisia, France, when they started this match, they were not so aggressive. They were very sluggish. They laid back a bit. It took them time to get into the competition and compete. So they were beaten, and actually that was a wake-up call for them, and they started, you know, working on the loose ends in their team.
You look at France, Denmark, Australia, Tunisia. Greg, surely this wasn't a boring group.
No, it wasn't a boring group, to be honest, because we witnessed goals. But a team like Australia, I'm looking at it like, where did they get those players from? They're very technical, by the way. And then they have their secret weapons in this, the likes of Garang. It's former,
yes.
Yeah, the son to the late Garang, so former president of South Sudan.
Garang Kuol is he was born in Africa, wasn't he?
He was born here in Kenya.
He was born here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And then he went to Australia as a child.
Yeah. I think there are two players.
There's two of them, yes.
Yeah. Well,
of South Sudanese
heritage. Australia is a side where we saw the older players like Bobby Moore trying to rally them behind. Nobody expected much from them, but you could see the performances they put against Tunisia, against France. They were very good performances, and that tells you that nobody should take them lightly ahead in the next few years. But then when it comes to finer margins, I think that's where they missed it. And as I say, if you don't have players who can turn the game with one spin, then it's difficult for you to let's say progress or grind a result. And I think that is the deficiency they had. We had the likes of Viduka in the previous Australian team.
Team Cahill.
Team Cahill. We know what he did. I remember his goal against Spain in 2014. Beautiful goal. And then he goes to the corner, does that.
He's now on the technical bench of Australia.
In the technical bench of Australia. And that should tell you that maybe they're doing something that might bear fruits in the near future.
Again, you're reading my mind. Fine margins, those small errors.
Yes.
Matthew Ryan, their goalkeeper, he had this habit of being indecisive. He was coming out
and going back.
And it cost them a goal against Argentina. Really, was it fine margins for Australia, immaculate?
Yes, it was. It was. And I would say that as much as they were technical, they were still not, I would say they were shaky a bit. They were not composed, they were not confident enough, because you see what the goalkeeper was doing. Coming in and out, it cost them, and that really gave them a dent in their confidence. And probably, maybe their goalkeeper was not ready for this tournament, or the tournament was big for him. So probably they would need their former players to be able to talk to them and give them the experience and share how you're supposed to behave in this kind of tournaments. Sometimes it's just the fear. It's not that technically you're not good.
And he's quite experienced. He's played in England, he's played in Australia.
He's now in Denmark.
He's now in Denmark, Copenhagen, yeah.
And I even watched him against Manchester City in the Champions League. I was like, this is Ryan, yeah. Game one, he plays well. The next game is off.
Yeah. Speaking of Denmark, we've looked at the other teams. Denmark impressed at the Euros last year. They started off with the tragedy, almost near tragedy actually, of Eriksen. When we thought, oh God, the worst has happened, but he came back, not just to life, to the football pitch. And they made the semi-final of that very tournament after losing that opener to Finland. What was their World Cup like, this particular 2022?
Denmark, technically they are good, but I did not feel them so much into the game, and I looked at the way they played, and the aggressivity, the yearning for goals for me was not there at all. But I would say it is a team that, if given more time, they can be able to do better. So personally, it was just another team for me that participated in the tournament, but I didn't see that urgency in this big kind of tournament.
Greg, for me, one of the games of the tournament was France-Denmark.
Yeah.
Yes, Denmark lost in the end, 2-1. Mbappe scored 2 for France. But Denmark, at some point, came from behind and tied the game. They tied the score at 1-1. What will you remember them for in this tournament? Compactness
and the ability to hold. It was just unfortunate that they did not do enough to get out of that group. And France versus Denmark has always been a match everyone serves and everyone wants to watch. And coming into this match, I think they had a better record than France. And I think it was all about who's going to separate them. And you see Denmark, who scored for them, the Barcelona defender, Christensen, yeah? But Mbappe, once again, that's what we are talking about, what can separate two teams that are almost at the same level.
Yes, yes.
Yesterday we saw France and Argentina. What separated them? Two brilliant teams separated by the sport kicks. in this one, Mbappe decides, okay, let me take matters into my own hands, and decides to send Denmark home. This is what we call football. If you don't have players who have that ability to define the key moments in a game, then I think you're going to have a problem. We've talked about Poland, we've talked about USA, now we're talking about Denmark. They have a very good squad, young players rising up, Eriksen motivated back into the football pitch. But then you look at what separated Mbappe, once again, yeah.
Wow. No surprises that France stopped that group when the fat lady sang and that final whistle had been blown. It was France. No upset there, but near upsets, because France started well. And then at some point it looked like as though there's going to be a contest for who emerges the second, especially in that group. And if France hadn't started off well, maybe they would have been amongst that contest of second spot.
Yeah.
It was a tight group. It wasn't boring like you say of Group E.
Group B was boring.
Okay. Group E, Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, Japan, dubbed the group of death. In a World Cup where almost all the groups were groups of death, eventually. Unforeseen, but definitely Group E lived up to expectations.
Yes.
It was like group of death times 2. Immaculate, what do you... Spain.
Having Germany in the same group, for me it was a tough group, eh? But when they started playing, then we started separating the boys from men, because the expectation actually started going down. When you look at how the Germans played their first match, we thought probably they are going to show us the football made in Germany, tiki-taka, but that was not the case with this German team. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Immaculate. We'll come back to studio. Now it's time for KMPDCU Secretary General to speak, because his speech or his comments or the press conference is actually underway. So let's take that now and then come back to studio in a short bit.
Sufficient for a resolution. It will be in bad faith to tell us to give time for engagement once we start strike, or once we go into industrial actions, when that time has been provided. It will be of no use to say that healthcare is essential services when 30 days elapses without meaningful engagement on the issues that have been signed and agreed upon by the union and the government. Thank you. Any questions? So in short, I'm just saying, as per our procedure, the demands that we gave to government as we were in our special delegate conference are things that are within the law. The CBA that was signed in 2017, and we took the government to court in 2020, and we got a favorable judgment that gave an order to the county government and the national government to implement the CBA. This ruling came in October 2021. It has been 1 year without any meaningful results into this. We've written letters and we tried to have actions from the county and national government without any results. And therefore, by the time that you are giving the notice of intent to industrial action, we have exploited all the available avenues. We are hoping that it is the interest of the public, it's the interest of the government for doctors to be at work. But as you all say every time, doctors are human beings who need to pay bills. And agreements that has been signed by public officers or by the states has to be honored. And these are constitutional documents. And therefore we are just evoking the Article 41 of the Constitution to force the government and to force the employers to sit with us and bargain. Because strikes and industrial actions are the cornerstone of bargaining. They are the cornerstone of engagement once all the avenues have gone unanswered. Thank you. As per the labor law 2007, once you give all these engagements, we can strike within 7 days from the 28th. But then we'll convene our National Advisory Council by the first week of January, And I'm sure if we don't have a meaningful engagement within the month of January, then we will be proceeding for the industrial action. So it is, we have between 7 to 21 days after the expiry of 28 days that we gave to the government and the county government, national government and county governments. Yes. Yes. Any other concerns? Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
That's the KMPDCU secretary speaking about the 2017-2021 CBA that they had with the county governments and perhaps even with the national government as the overall head of the running of affairs in this country, and they're hoping that that collective bargaining agreement will be implemented without any further delay. We were discussing Group E, the group of death, and Immaculate, you were speaking before we, I don't know whether you finished or we sort of cut you short to go to the Doctors and Dentists Union. Were you done, or do you want to finish off what you were saying?
Just to finish off what I was saying earlier, I was saying that this group was the group of death that we were all saying at the beginning before the World Cup kicked off. But we also, when it started, I was saying that we also saw what teams like Japan pulled out, because these are the teams that no one expected that could be able to beat big teams in that team. We thought probably they are going to be the underdogs in that team. But when they went into the pitch, we realized they are not short as we think they are always short, but they could fly high and even score with a header. I thought they are very short, but that's for me. Then football I came to realize that football is not about the height, football is not about your size, football is about your brains. And that really worked out for Japan.
Yes, in case you've just tuned in, this is Sports Check. We're having a review of the World Cup that came to its conclusion just last night. It was a very entertaining World Cup, a thriller. At some point, Immaculate described one of the games that took place, that was Holland versus Argentina, as a movie. And indeed it was. That stuff was, it started with, right from pretty much the early stages, the group stages of the tournament, which is quite unusual. Usually the World Cup picks from the round of 16 or the knockout stage, if you like. But this World Cup, this one was very, very, very different. Gregory, the group of death, Spain, Germany, Japan, and the Ticos. Costa Rica.
Costa Rica were very unlucky here, by the way. But Germany, I'll point out Germany. It's a team that many were saying were pre-tournament favorites, and they really disappointed many fans, some of whom I know, even some were pundits here. Germany, I think it's a team under transformation, and Hansi Flick has a huge task of trying to blend this team. Looking at they were so lackluster in their performances, and you could feel it even in this game against Spain. There was a clear distinction between a side that was organized and a side that came to participate. I think Germany this time around, they came to participate in the World Cup, not compete. And that was the difference between them and a serious side. Some of these players will, of course, retire from the national team. I'm looking at the likes of Sule, I'm looking at the likes of Thomas Muller, who played a very quiet role again in this World Cup, and that's unlike him. If I point out this game they played against Spain, it was all about who is more superior in Europe, because these are one of the best teams in that region. But once again, I'll say Germany will have to go back to the drawing board. They'll have to make sure that when it comes to 2026, they have a better squad. But I'm happy they have tried to do like the way France is doing. A lot of black players coming in, Leroy Sané, the likes of Jamal Musiala. Yeah, very, very, very young boys who come and rise, and maybe they'll be the future stars. They're building a project. I'm not sure if they'll be patient enough. But what I know about the Germans is that when they start building something, it might look shaky but then it stabilizes with time. That case in study, Jürgen Klinsmann started a very good project in 2006 when they hosted the World Cup, brought in the likes of Mario Götze, the likes of Ozil, Podolski, and everyone was like, who are these young boys? Why don't we use the likes of Bad Stubber, the likes of Oliver Bierhoff, the experienced guys? But he was like, I'm building a team that might rule the world in the next few years. And true to his words, in 2014, when Joachim Löw took over the team, they won the World Cup with the squad that was already built in 2006. So to me, I believe the likes of Musiala will be the players who might bring glory back to Germany, maybe in the next World Cup or the other one, because they're very young.
I think Löw took over in 2006, yes. 2007.
He took over after
Jürgen Klinsmann.
Klinsmann,
yes.
After the World Cup, and he was the assistant to Klinsmann there.
Yes, yes. The same way Hansi Flick was Löw's assistant.
Yes.
Oh, so I hope what you're saying is true, and they're building a team for the future, because we've grown up watching Germany.
Great sides.
Great sides, club level, national team level. It's hard to imagine football without Deutschland, Germany, as they're known. Japan, we've looked at, and I think Maculate was articulate on that. We've looked at Germany, Costa Rica, you've mentioned, Spain, Español. What's happening? High hopes.
They didn't just carry their guitar.
Boom.
They didn't carry their guitar.
Maculate. Before we get to the guitar, or you can even chip in on the guitar.
Yeah.
What do you think of Spain?
Spain is not the Spain that we know about. They did not live up to their name. And a lot of expectations, we had a lot of expectations when you hear Spain, but that did not come out, because we thought they will be the giants in this pool and probably go throughout to the finals, but they struggled.
Before we go to the Mugithi man, the one-man guitar in studio, Gregory Mulemi, to give his thoughts on that one, why don't we take a brief break? We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Español.
Intel kwamba mmoja wa vijana wa Burhan is coming away to be smuggled into the country.
How credible is the intel, sir?
Very credible.
Ni nani?
The bomb maker.
HQ iko na reason ya kubilivia kwamba one of Burhan's lieutenants atakuwa smuggled into a country through hii border crossing.
Wazi.
Fall back up!
Bring it on. Niambie sasa. Bring it.
Ma! Pole wi.
Mimi ole matope nilipotoka hapa nimepatana na Gisimba.
Simba. Simba ya nini?
Ni mtu amepoteza.
Josephine. Hata ninachua nilikuwa nataka kufanya namna nitumie hiyo yake. Hiyo bicha yake niweke passport yangu chu.
Wewe.
Welcome back. We just took a short break. We actually started Sports Check, which is now on air, about an hour or so ago. So in case you've missed out, you haven't really missed out on much. We're getting to the juicier bits. And Greg, in 2 seconds, Spain.
Spain, I think it's all about the selection. Enrique got it all wrong in that he trusted more of the Catalonia youngsters and forgetting that it's a wider scope. Leaving out the likes of Borja Iglesias, Iago Aspas and Thiago to me was quite strange because you needed such kind of players to push the likes of Gavi and Pedri. He stepped down a disappointed man because he's not really achieved what he wanted with the Spanish team.
Before we get to the round of 16, Immaculate, I'm sure you can rush us through Belgium, Canada, Morocco and Croatia, Group F.
Of course, Group F was also an interesting group. We saw what Morocco did, and actually we thought probably they're also coming to just participate and probably just get last 16 and they get out of the tournament, but we saw them pulling through up to position 4. So that is a group also that really did well in terms of technically they were okay, and actually they gave a very good competition to all the teams that were there, and Morocco took an advantage of the experience they had.
Greg, I'm very sure you can take us through very quickly Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland and Cameroon. Very quickly.
It was a very lively group. Cameroon impressed me a lot. Nobody expected them to pull that win against Brazil. The only African country to ever win against Brazil at a World Cup tournament. That was very impressive. For Brazil, they did well in the group stages. And you could tell that they were headed for the tournament until the latter stages where we'll talk about. But for Serbia, I think they've also proved a point. They're very technical also. They're playing like the Polish. And that is that is something we'll be watching in the Nations League when it comes around next year. But I was impressed with the group. It was lively, very lively.
Switzerland and Cameroon also.
Switzerland and Cameroon, yeah. Embolo scoring against his mother country. Very interesting stuff. But for me, I'll pick Abubakar's goal against Serbia as the goal of the tournament.
Wow, it was beautiful. Yeah. That was certainly beautiful. And Immaculate, you can put this group talk to bed with Portugal, Canada. Portugal. I'll take that. with Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea.
Yeah,
briefly.
That was an interesting group. Ghana really did us proud. The Ayew brothers, as we always say, we talked about it here. With the discipline and the background that you come from, with the parents, you get to be nurtured in a very good way. And we saw what they did, and probably Uruguay also gave us a very interesting game, and I would say that this is a group that was very, very, very competitive, and we saw actually a lot of technique here, a lot of moments here that we could remember, a lot of good goalkeeping sessions. It was a very beautiful group, and there's a lot of VAR in this group. The referees always went back to the VAR to make decisions because it was a very contested group.
Wow. The groups turned out to be, each of them, apart from, in Greg's opinion, and also Immaculate supported him on that, groups of death, each one of them, apart from Group B. Well, for me, each one of them was a group of death because I loved each and every one of them. Brilliant football. This game was controversial because of what happened in 2010. Suarez intentionally saving with his hands, an outfield player saving a ball with his hands. The resultant penalty, Asamoah Gyan of Ghana hit the crossbar. Suarez celebrated like mad after he had received a red card because what he did was illegal. and the game went into shootouts. Uruguay beat Ghana. So there was a lot of talk of revenge. Now it's Ghana to revenge for what Suarez did to them at the 2010 World Cup on African soil. Would you imagine? Anyway, that never happened. Uruguay had the last laugh. Ghana was sent home packing.
They both went.
I mean,
they both
went home.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
Montevideo and Kumasi.
Yes, but still, it wasn't the kind of sweet revenge.
But the scores have not yet been settled. Because
yes,
Ghana will
yes.
still need to settle scores.
Yes, oh, definitely. So now let's, even as we watch this, move on to the knockout phase, where things were, there's no second chance. You lose,
You go.
next flight home.
Next flight home, yeah.
Take your pick.
I'll talk about the first team that we were all supporting African teams, and I remember you are very good passionately about supporting African teams. So I'll highlight the African team that was sent packing, and we thought probably we would see Senegal going to probably the quarters or the semis, because Ghana had a very good young team, but unfortunately our African teams, most of them went out in the last 16, and probably would say that teams like Cameroon that went out again, if we highlight that, it's a team that probably we are saying it is not a team meant for this World Cup. It's a team that is being prepared for the next World Cup. So we looked at some of those teams going out, teams that had very young players, and we also looked at the African coaches also that were brought into the game, that went home with the teams, but they had very good coaching skills, drills. We've seen the strategies they applied into the teams, and that shows you that football in Africa is really taking a different dimension.
Greg, of Senegal, they met England in the round of 16. Maculators set us off on the African team's team. Let's not mess her party. What do you make of Senegal meeting England in the round of 16?
Once again, experience played out in that match because you look at England were all over Senegal. Senegal didn't even turn up for the match, and getting beaten 3-0 by England, it was a fair result because apart from Ismaila Sarr and Idrissa Gueye, I tried to look out at any other player in the Senegalese team who stood out. There was none because Koulibaly was very poor on the day, and that I think was a wake-up call for Aliou Cisse because on a normal day, I could have given Senegal a chance against England if all things were ceteris paribus. But on this one, they just didn't turn up, and they resigned very early in the game, and you could feel that the English team was on a roll. Yeah, look at the quality they brought in, and I think for England, starting Henderson in midfield changed the whole scope, because you could feel there was a more sense of leadership right from the goalkeeper Pickford to midfield in Henderson, and then Kane finishing up way up in attack, and that was the difference. In Senegal, you tried looking up, there were no leaders in that Senegalese team. Koulibaly is not a vocal leader. He wants to lead at the Gerrard style. He wants to score and rather push the team
to lead by example.
Yeah, lead by example. But after this game, Harry Kane said that he liked the leadership from behind. Maguire leading also from behind. He had a good game, this one, by the way, intercepting very crucial, in very crucial moments. And it gave them a chance, and you could feel for Edward Mendy. And this one, I think he flickered. Yeah.
But also the absence of Mane really brought down Senegalese team spirit a little bit down. We could outlook it and say that there are other players that are better than Mane, and we can talk all about everything that we want to talk about the team, but his absence really had a very big impact on the team. Probably if he was there, we could have seen what Mbappe has done, we could have seen what Messi has done with the team. So those individual players, and I remember Greg mentioning that we have, sometimes you need that one person that can be able to pull that thing that is not normal, a difficult situation, bring you back into the game. So I believe he has something special in the leadership that we are talking about that the team really missed.
Mane is like the figurative leader
Yes.
of the team.
Yes.
I wonder why he's not the captain of the team. It's one of those strange things because Koulibaly, as you said, he wants to lead by example as opposed to leading by example and word of mouth to boot.
I thought it's because of the size of
See, Mane has a weakness. When several times he's had that armband on him.
What's the weakness?
I think it's too heavy for him.
Okay, let's look at the other African team that made the round of 16, Morocco. And of course they beat Spain. Wow, immaculate.
Yes, wow, and that's why they were almost winning this cup. You see, Morocco came into this tournament to win. Morocco did not just come to participate as an African team. If you look at their first match, they came in with a bang. They did not respect the name Spain. They did not respect the giants, but they came in knowing that in football anything can happen. And they gave their A game. And actually that win really propelled them and gave them the confidence. And probably you've seen the consecutive matches they played. They really were hungry for goals. You could see Hakimi and Hakim, everybody running all over looking for those goals, and their goalkeeper as well. So you'll find that they had a team that is dangerous, a team to watch. That's not a team to take for granted. They're going to be the African giants if we are not careful, because they've really shown us that they can be able to pull it and make it big. They missed it narrowly, and I believe they're going to work on those few gaps that they have and probably come in better next time.
Greg, let's face the facts. Walid Regragui was a standout coach in this tournament as Morocco's head coach. And there is big clubs that might throw big money at him or be tempted to do so, tempting him to leave the hellmanship of Morocco and then probably leaving them in disarray as a result. What do you do? I mean, he might be conflicted. Should I stay or should I go? If he stays, Morocco's prospects will be higher. If he goes, then there could be disarray.
You remember René Havard, after winning CHAN with Morocco, he won the Cup of Nations with Cote d'Ivoire and Zambia. I think he went to try out in the French Ligue A. Was it with Nantes or Lille? If my memory serves me right. But it backfired. And Regragui is one coach who's just rising from the ranks. You know, he was a former Wydad Casablanca coach, former international, and he's shown that whatever is done at club can be done in the national team. And right now he has a very interesting project which has, by the way, given him extra points and accolades amongst his peers. Leaving Morocco right now might be suicidal, because you look at the things he's done, he might not replicate that elsewhere. And that's why I love the Germans with their coaches, 11 coaches in history. If Regragui is smart enough, he can stay in Morocco as long as he wants, because he'll have all the respect he has.
Yeah, another round of 16 game was Argentina-Australia. Very quickly, so that we can get to the quarters. Your thoughts?
My thoughts was it still goes back to Argentina, and we are still going back to Lionel Messi. We are still going back to the coach as well, Lionel Scaloni, because his strategy really worked out for him. As much as we were looking at individual players, but we are also we were forgetting about the coach, because the coach had a strategy, the coach had a history to make, and the coach also wanted to be able to show us what he can be able to do for that team. So I would say that Australia went out, were knocked out, but it was bound to happen, because from the first whistle, you could see what really Argentina wanted. They marshaled in the midfield. Their forwards were very, they were just there, hungry, trying to get those goals. And I would say that this was a game for Messi, and he carried the day.
Greg, very quickly, Brazil, South Korea. We saw the samba from Brazil, and everyone was saying, Brazil are winning this tournament. In a few words.
I think they overdid themselves. South Korea did not just turn up for the game, but then you look at Brazil, that's a game that defined the samba beat that we know, and you could feel even the goals, everyone enjoyed the goals. Richarlison scoring a beauty, and then rushing towards his coach, and they did that jig, and it's something that reminded us of Brazil. But then Yeah, South Korea need to go back to the drawing board and maybe focus on the next one, because they did not really show us the potential they have.
Okay. Let's go to Honorable Aisha Jumwa, who is currently speaking at the launch of the UHR system. She's a cabinet secretary in the government of Kenya. I'm sure you all know her. Well, if you don't, here she is. Over to her. We'll be back in a bit.
Bwana PS, I want to thank you for assembling a well-competent team led by Mr. Kanji, who have taken us through the agenda of the day. But before I dwell into today's agenda, I want to remind my team members that I had made a promise to meet and have an engagement with you as heads of your respective dockets before I personally meet the staffs in their respective working stations. I want to assure you that I have not changed my earlier plan, and I will honor my commitments going forward, perhaps early next year. So, having said that, I do recognize the good work that you're doing and the efforts to providing services to our stakeholders. And also, I'm aware of the challenges that you encounter as you execute your mandate. And again, I want to assure you, as the Cabinet Secretary for this ministry, you have my full support. And I want also to assure you that you feel free. Feel free that your jobs are secured, provided that we keep our lane as we provide services. But we have no intention whatsoever to deal with or to provide any ill motives against our staffs. So I want to assure you that I'm with you. I will run an open door policy to making sure that I don't lock out any officer who has a positive dream in transforming public service. I want also to thank the PS and also to congratulate you, Mr. Gatecha, as our PS. And I believe that he's up to the task. Ama namna gani? It is. So allow me now to read my speech for this particular event. I'm sorry, kidogo. Why is it that I can't find it? Let me read with a small one. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to be here this morning to preside over the launch of the upgraded human resource information infrastructure. During the 59th Jamhuri Day held on 12th December 2022, His Excellency the President delivered a speech dedicated to a theme that is relevant to our national aspirations. His Excellency the President informed the nation, and I quote, "Our futuristic theme today revolves around technology and innovation. The promise of innovation is to enable us connect, innovate, and inspire." His Excellency the President further reiterated that it is time to innovate our way into a future. It is for this reason that on this Jamhuri Day, we as a nation are staking our claim by rallying Kenyans to begin the work of designing a world much richer, safer, and freer than we have known. The launch of the upgraded ICT infrastructure has therefore come at a time when the government is promoting digitization of government processes, innovation, and capacity building through what is being referred as to digital superhighway. The Kenya Kwanza Manifesto states that the digital superhighway will play a critical role in enabling us to make tremendous achievements in the other 4 pillars of health, agriculture, micro, small, and medium enterprises, and financing, as well in enhancing revenue collection via automation of VAT systems. I am therefore happy to preside over this occasion, whose main objective is to roll out the Unified Human Resource Management Information System and officially commission the upgraded government human resource ICT infrastructure in line with His Excellency's call to digitization of government functions. I wish to further state that as part of digitization of these various government functions, my ministry is also upgrading the ICT infrastructure for enhancing delivery of service offered under the Huduma Kenya program. Ladies and gentlemen, I am also happy to note that new infrastructure will host the Unified Human Resource Information System. I am also delighted to note that UHR system has been developed by the State Department for Public Service and other stakeholders to facilitate the process and consolidation of human resource and payroll data in the public service. As a catalyst to achieve its economic and social development agenda and the realization of Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, the government requires a strong public service that is ICT savvy with up-to-date, real-time data and the ability to make timely, sound decisions. As a ministry, therefore, we need to develop systems that are aligned to the needs of the workforce of the future, including a technology-driven public service. Today marks the beginning of a journey that will transform the management of the human resource information across the public service, being enhancing availability and accessibility of information in the desired format and ensuring compliance and good corporate governance in human resource management practices. I therefore wish to reiterate that all public service organizations whose remuneration and benefits are payable directly from the consolidated fund or directly out of money provided by Parliament should migrate their HR and payroll data and embrace the unified HR system as authorized shared government platform for management of human resource and payroll information as communicated by the head of public service. The public service organizations include all ministries, departments, state corporations, government agencies, and counties government. I wish to assure all that my ministry will ensure smooth transition of all public service organizations to seamlessly transition from the current IT system to the new unified human resources information system within the provided timelines, that is 1st of July 2023. I therefore urge all stakeholders to support and facilitate this noble initiative. I wish to extend my thanks to both the National Treasury for supporting this project, the Public Financial Management Reforms Program since its inception. I cannot forget the contribution made by the Ministry of ICT and Digital Innovation, popularly in guiding on the appropriate technical specifications for the newly acquired ICT infrastructure that will go a long way in supporting HR data consolidation in the public service. Special thanks also go to the World Bank Group for financing both Greece system upgrade project and the development of UHR system through the program for results to strengthen government and enabling service delivery and public investment in Kenya. I wish to note that the bank has established an excellent relationship with the government of Kenya, and I believe it will continue supporting public service delivery programs under my ministry. Allow me to thank the PS, State Department for Public Service, for spearheading and ensure that this project is successful. Let me also appreciate the Greece Upgrade Project Technical Implementation Team and all stakeholders who were involved for providing their technical expertise in the execution of the project task and ensuring that the project meets the strategic objective of the government. Finally, it is now my pleasure to declare the Greece upgraded infrastructure and the Unified Human Resource Information System officially launched to allow human resource and payroll data in consolidation of the public service.
Honorable Aisha Jumwa at the Kenya School of Government, where she's launching the UHR system. She has promised to live up to her pledges, and we wish her well in that and in the running of her ministry. This is Sports Check on KBC Channel 1 TV. The show has been ongoing for the last 1 hour, 40 minutes or so. You haven't missed much because you've come at the right time. We're at a review of the World Cup, and we've got to as far as the quarterfinals, which we're just about to have a look at. Maculate, Brazil made the quarterfinal, but that became the end of their story. Greg says they got carried away by their performance against South Korea. Do you agree or disagree?
Actually, the For me, the samba we are talking about, I didn't see it actually when in this team that qualified for the World Cup, because I waited to see the feeling that was brought about by their former players. You remember the Ronaldos, they did not live up to the expectation. It was all about Neymar and those individual players we are talking about, and the focus was on him, so that everybody wants to bring the ball to him. So I did not see the flair that Brazil has, though it had a good team. I would not say that it didn't have a good team, but that team could not survive beyond that stage, because there was something that was missing in their team. So the flair that comes with the team wasn't there at all.
Croatia kicked them out.
Of course.
At 0-0 for a long spell, then 1-1, and then extra time penalties, and the 1-1 came in at extra time. So it was a long night, another long night of the World Cup. Morocco also made the quarterfinal. This time they met Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo's team. Greg?
That was a sad story for Ronaldo, by the way, because it's a match that many expected Portugal to win easily. But for Morocco, better organized. They knew they were playing for purpose. They knew they had the crowd behind them, maybe 3/4 of the crowd, because by the virtue of their geographical region. To me, it's a game that I can say Morocco showed the world that Africa is capable of at least producing some good results and upsets. Already they had upset Spain previously. So everyone knew that Ronaldo was going to shine, I don't know what, but then we have the likes of Unai, the likes of Hakimi, the likes of Ziyech,
Amrabat,
Saiss,
Bono, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Bono, the goalkeeper.
I love their goalkeeper.
Yes. It rolled back the years when we had the likes of Tariq Naibet, the likes of Yusuf Chipo Haji, and this Morocco side is good, but it's well balanced. If they just find a clinical finisher, I think they'll really be a team to watch out to, maybe in the next Africa Cup of Nations or future world, future competitions.
Definitely in need of a finisher, a poacher. And they've produced some wonderful ones over the years. I don't know what happened this time around. They were a very technical side, but good on the counter. Wonderful side to watch. They've invested heavily in their defense. If they can invest just as much in their striking force up there, up front, I think we'll be looking at world champions in the making. Argentina also made the quarterfinal. And it was a game, Immaculate, I remember we analyzed with you. We were getting prepared to do the full-time analysis because we thought Argentina had won that one. And then the last second of the game, Vogast, who had come off the bench and had scored one goal, scored a second goal, and it was to go to extra time. So we had to postpone bedtime for ourselves.
We thought probably we'll sleep early, but that didn't come handy. But we also appreciate that we were able to watch the extra time and also the penalties. It was a very interesting match. It was not a match that would say Argentina had it. It was a game that we thought probably could go either way. It was an open match because they were all equal. It was technically it was a balanced match. We thought probably any team would take it, but we are happy that Messi carried the day, because at the end of the day we kept on saying that we want to see Messi having it because it is his last, and I think because of prayers, many people are praying for him, he carried the day.
Amazing football. What you're seeing on your screens there, as it says, is Morocco, Portugal, but we are moving ahead. We're not going to wait for that. You enjoy the clip as we talk along. France also made the quarterfinals, Greg.
France made it the quarterfinals, and I think for them it was all about exploring the options they had, because before this we were talking about a France team that wasn't going to win this World Cup according to Didier Deschamps, and they met an England side that was motivated. Everyone knew that England was going to give France a few problems. Yes, they did. But once again, we are talking about the fine margins. I'll use this word over and over again. What happens in key moments? Harry Kane missed a crucial penalty deep into this stoppage time. And to me, I think that was unusual of Kane. And there's one thing I'll point out about France and England, if you may allow me. When Henderson and Bukayo Saka left the field of play, England were bare, especially on the right side of defense. And Kylian Mbappe sprang into life. You could see him terrorizing Kyle Walker all through. And when they got that penalty, you know, there's something new about penalty takers and penalty taking. Nowadays, you don't stand there alone. Your team needs to support you. Kane was left alone in that moment when he missed the penalty. You see, before taking the penalty, French players were all over him. And when he took the first penalty, he had the likes of Jordan Henderson alongside him, motivating him, telling him, you can do this, you know. He needed that. But when the second penalty came by, he was alone. And when he missed it, everyone was sulking. What do you need there as a team? You need to tell him, okay, it's done, let's go back. It motivates you to getting another chance.
I thought Bellingham did that.
Bellingham did that after realizing that this guy is alone. In fact, it was only Bellingham. Where were the rest of the team? Everyone was sulking.
And he's a teenager, he's a young kid, so to speak.
19 years old.
He showed a lot of leadership
and that is character
and that sort of
that
thing.
is needed. But for the French side, they should just thank Mbappe because he's the one who carried them all the way.
Okay. Maculate, as we go into the semi-finals, do you want to think about and talk about the officiating of that England game very briefly, like 2 seconds?
Yeah, I would say the officiating was superb because that game was very tense. It was a game that needed a lot of management because sometimes you look at decisions that the referees make, not every decision is punished. Some decisions require verbal warning, some decisions require just the referee telling them to cool down because at the end of the day, at that level, you don't want to take chances. So the referees who officiated the England match was very composed, was actually the best referee for that match.
Seriously, was he fair? That game has raised lots of controversy.
That game was not easy.
The second penalty that Harry Kane took, did that require VAR checking? Wasn't it straightforward? That's a foul. In fact, some people say it should have been a red card because Hernandez was the last man, and he ended up being given a yellow card. After a lot of nudging from the English players.
But you don't punish someone twice. You cannot say it was a red card because at the end of the day, who was closer to the offense? The referee was closer. And again, going to the VAR, it's just to have a second opinion to check, to confirm.
Remember, he wasn't even going to give that as a penalty.
He wasn't going to give it as a penalty. But again, we have the other match officials who are seated at the back. And he has a talkback. And they talked to him. Because at the end of the day, we're also looking at his body language. For us, when we look at his body language, we thought he's not going to give it. But again, from behind, he was told it was a penalty. So at the end of the day, I would not say that he was bad because even before you are chosen to officiate such a caliber of a match, you must be a very good referee.
Okay.
And some decisions, and I'm telling you again, Tira, some decisions don't need quick decision making. Needs a lot of management, especially at the semi-finals level.
Speaking of semi-finals, I think you've more or less ushered in us this particular discussion to the semi-finals, which is where we are, Greg. France, Morocco.
France, Morocco. Once again, it was a very lively game. For Morocco, I think they just outdid themselves, and reaching this stage to them was like maybe a miracle. But it's a game, once again, where one mistake cost the Moroccans. And when Mbappe danced through that defense, that was it. And a youngster coming off the bench in column 1, 44 seconds, barring that goal away, defined that moment. But look at the game. Morocco created a lot of chances. But then, up front, very, I think it was pale, if I can use that word. And that's the difference between France and Morocco, in that Morocco literally dominated the game. But France took their chances. 3 shots on target, 2 goals.
Awfully physical.
But also, Tiras, throughout the tournament, Morocco has had a very good defense line, but very their forwards have been questionable because they created chances, but with those chances, if they had the Mbappes in their team, probably they could have carried the
It
team.
was a beautiful game,
was a
you're right.
beautiful
It needed
game,
that finishing,
that finisher.
that spark.
Yeah.
It was all fully physical. The Moroccans came out to play like, sorry to say, West Africans. They are more known for the physical element. Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal, to an extent. The North Africans play a bit more technical, a bit like Europeans, textbook football, smart. They throw in some street smartness, but I've never known them to be that physical. Anyway, the other semi-final, Argentina, Croatia. Gregory, as we near the end of this wonderful show.
Argentina, for real, were a team that knew how to use their chances and capitalize on mistakes, and they did that against Croatia, a team that was very solid before that. And once again, a penalty decided the crucial moment in the game. And you could feel that the Croatians, they were really tired in midfield, especially the likes of Modric, Kovacic. But again, Messi, the assist to the second goal.
You can say that again.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not... taking on one of the best defenders of the tournament and then ensuring that he drives him out of target, and then that pass to Alvarez, it was brilliant. But then everyone was all like, Messi can't do this, Messi can't do this. He just rolled back the ears. Yeah, and that is something that really helped them. At least people started taking them seriously.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there was the game no one likes to play, the third and fourth place playoff. Briefly, immaculate. Morocco
and Croatia. Yeah.
Briefly.
That was a very tough match, if you ask me. They don't like playing the third playoff, but for me, if you put Morocco and Croatia in the same boat, and I said here, Croatia is going to win, because I looked at Moroccan side and I realized they don't have forwards. And this is a game that you really need someone to score for you. We wanted goals.
Yes.
And we had the Croatian side where we are talking about Luka Modric with the experiences and people who are hungry for goals. And we saw what they did, actually. So I would say that France were lucky to have beaten Croatia, but Croatia had this one to win for themselves. This one, they had to take it, and they carried the day. So it's up to Morocco. They've done us proud, and they've gotten a fourth place, which is not easy to get. For them, it is a victory, but we also need to advise them to also go and sharpen the forwards. But Croatia is a team to watch because they are very tough. Yeah. Technically, they're very smart.
Gregory, in a few seconds, there were players that won awards yesterday for their sterling performances. We've discussed the Golden Glove already, no need to dwell on that. Messi, Mbappe, and of course, Messi's compatriot. So Argentina had 3 prizes on the stage. Your thoughts?
Enzo Martinez, the Benfica youngster.
Young player of
the tournament. To me, I think he deserved that because he worked his socks off in this tournament. He's really played a bigger role in ensuring that Argentina achieved whatever they achieved last night. He's a player that anchored really well with Messi, helping Messi to drop deeper. And you could feel that it was a way, he brought the balance together with Rodrigo de Paul, the likes of Tagliafico. Martinez, yes,
he deserved that.
He deserved that.
He's had a very outstanding tournament. Mbappe,
no debate, he scored the most.
And he'll still show us more of this. And when you look up at the winners, you can say that one is stepping off the stage and the other one is coming up really well. And it's a book that we shall read over and over again.
Messi,
but also
Messi, wow. Even the robe that he was given before lifting the World Cup just showed that he's achieved it. 2008 Olympic gold medal in Beijing. He won the World Cup under 20.
Yes.
Yeah. I was looking at the photos he took with Angel Di Maria. Back then, they've taken this journey up to this level. He'll retire a happy man.
Yes. And remember, KBC Channel 1 TV brought you 28 out of the 64 games live. And besides that, all the 64 games were running with live commentaries, the entire 64 matches on our radio station network. That's vernacular radio, plus the English and Swahili service station. That's 14 stations in total. So KBC went all out to give Kenyans a free World Cup. You didn't have to pay to watch. Just sit at home, tune in your radio, or watch it on television. We had some fine analysts here. I think the best team I've ever worked with, and I really do mean that. From Patrick Nagy, who was Young Player of the Year in 1968. 1968, just to put it in context, President Jomo Kenyatta was a few years into his presidency. Vice President Moi was just 1 year into his vice presidency. Mwai Kibaki, who became third president of Kenya, was only 37 years old. Tom Mboya was still alive. Charles Rubia was the chairman of KANU, Nairobi district, as it was known then. Isaac Lugonzo was the mayor of Nairobi. And he rose from being a player, Patrick Nagy, to being a football head coach, a football technical director, an administrator of sorts. He's traveled the world with football. There was Josephat Murila. There was
Mickey
Weche, a former captain of Harambee Stars. There was Boniface Sambani. There was Taiwo Atieno. These are former players. And then there was the rest of us. Maculate here, a football match commissioner. People we watched growing up. I was telling Murila, I watched him in 1984 in the flesh at Nyayo Stadium. And you remember he was part of that golden era of Harambee Stars that won the Sekafa. So I think kudos to KBC. And then there were teams running out into the counties, the likes of Bernardo Kumu, talking to Mwananchi and giving Mwananchi a voice, a podium, to air their views the way we are airing our views here in studio. And as though that weren't enough, Dunda Dunda Qatar gave the Swahili audience.
And you really danced yesterday. Right?
Yeah, dance all over again, despite the aches and pains. Gave the Swahili audience a chance to also feel wanted, to feel loved, to feel appreciated. They had some wonderful performances. They had analysts as well, like Coach Ben Bella on set. They gave children right here a podium in which to shine. Those are future Harambee Stars players, I'd want to believe. Future Harambee Starlets players, I'd want to believe. They've been captured at the right age because that's the right age to capture them. And as though that were not enough, there were quizzes giving Kenyans a chance to win prize money, to win gifts. And we did the same pretty much on our analysis. And for those of you who may have been wondering, how comes this time we didn't have formal analysis in Swahili? It's because obviously this is a World Cup and there are people from other parts of the world who live and work in Kenya or they school in Kenya. They do not necessarily understand Swahili. They may speak one or two words. But we also wanted to accommodate them. So we balanced right. Dunda Dunda Qatar before every analysis session. And I think we got that mathematics right. It was a beautiful World Cup, one to remember, one to savor. Thank you so much for having made KBC Channel 1 TV your station of choice. Gregory Mulemi was part of our analyst team, brilliant from start to finish. He predicted that Africa would score its first goal in that Ghana game, and Ghana went on to score. And then he told me I owe him a drink after that. I'll buy him a cup of tea. Oh, I'm not sure that's the sort of drink he meant. That is Maculate Akarot. Maculate is a match commissioner. She brings her different perspective as a match commissioner and then as a football lover and fan. My name is Tiras Wayaki. Thank you so much. You gave us a World Cup to remember. Football is nothing without fans. You are the best of the best, Kenya. We love you. And as the World Cup progressed, Kenya was returned to the FIFA fraternity after being suspended indefinitely. So we are looking forward to hosting, playing at the World Cup, and so on and so forth. But as Maculate says, it's a long journey. It takes a lot of planning to build those structures. There's loss along the way before you finally get there. And get there, I hope we shall in our lifetime. Thank you so much. It's been a month to savor. Cheers.
Tumepata intel kwamba mmoja wa vijana wa Burhan is coming away to be smuggled into the country.
How credible is the intel, sir?
Very credible.
Ni nani?
The bomb maker.
HQ iko na reason ya kubilivia kwamba one of Burhan's lieutenants atakuwa smuggled into a country through hii border crossing.
Wazi.